Hut 8's revenue rose over 700% in the third quarter, beating analyst estimates. The Canadian crypto miner beat third quarter revenue and earnings estimates and held about $342 million in Bitcoin. Joining us now to discuss is Shane Downey, Chief Financial Officer at Hut 8. Hello there, Shane. So we'll dive into earnings in a bit, but first I want to ask you about Taproot again. You know, I assume Hut 8 signaled in favor of this upgrade.
Ultimately, we're in favor of the ongoing resiliency of the network, which, if nothing else, the China ban that came down earlier this year, in our view, was the sort of a bigger test than almost we could have ever imagined. And Bitcoin, the network, very much passed with flying colors, and it's exciting to see Taproot come through and sort of no issues and effectively a non-event.
You mentioned the China crackdown. How has that benefited, if at all, Hut 8?
Well, as an established sort of institutional grade miner, we benefited from an increase in market share almost immediately in very simple terms. So the fact that we were up and running and had significant hash capacity served us very well. We've strongly expected that hash rate globally was going to come back fairly sharply, which it has been, which isn't a surprise, and ultimately speaks again to the strength and clearly ongoing adoption and interest in Bitcoin.
Have you been, buying up equipment from China that has had to move out of the country, or partnering with any Chinese companies or mining firms to capture more of the market?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we had significant inbound inquiry from a variety of groups in China. We've long made known our relationship with MicroBT. They've been a terrific partner for us. Earlier this year, we reached certification with them as a certified repair center here in North America. Twice in recent months we've been able to execute on what we view as a sort of a somewhat opportunistic transaction with them. And again, fundamentally though, we've been very, very happy with both their ability to perform and get gear to us, and then most importantly, the performance of that gear once it's on site.
Circling back to Taproot, so far only a little more than about half of the known Bitcoin nodes are signaling support for the upgrade. The rest are running old software, which means they will not be able to enforce the new rules of Taproot until they upgrade to the latest update, Bitcoin Core 21.1. Have you upgraded? Has Hut 8 upgraded all their systems to activate Taproot?
Well, as a Bitcoin miner, we're not operating a node, but rather mining Bitcoin. So we've been, as I mentioned earlier, unimpacted and status quo from a mining perspective.
Okay, fair enough. So it was a breathtaking third quarter for Hut 8. Perhaps you can go through some of the factors that are buoying the mining industry.
Yeah, well, sort of touched on earlier the China ban that came down in the middle of the summer. So certainly for Hut 8 and other incumbent miners, it's been an excellent time. For us, we've been very strategic with getting a third location announced. That's going to be in North Bay, Ontario, which is really exciting for us, to diversification across Canada with the rest of our operations in Alberta, of course. Really Q3, the combination of strong, relative to earlier in the year, strong Bitcoin price performance, along with the scope of our existing operations, like you said, made for a very strong Q3.
What are you expecting in the fourth quarter?
Well, I think we're certainly relatively optimistic around the near-term expectations for Bitcoin. We've all come to learn this year more than ever that Bitcoin can move up and can move down, but we're certainly optimistic on that front. And then a lot of our dialogue with investors and prospective investors has very much been around getting our third site operational. So the boots are on the ground right now, making that happen. So we expect to have that site ready to go by the end of this year, and bring incremental hash rate from our two most recent MicroBT orders on board Q1 of 2022.
And just one last question. What is Eight doing with its Bitcoin? Are you using for collateral? Are you just holding on to it? Are there any plans to do anything with it, or just accumulating?
Yeah, fundamentally, right now we're hodlers. We've got the largest self-mined stack of Bitcoin of any public company in the world. We've since earlier this year announced an arrangement with Genesis, and then secondly with Galaxy, where we've got Bitcoin on loan with them for generating fiat denominated yield. And otherwise, we hold our Bitcoin in custody. We're definitely long-term holders and bullish long-term, and that strategy has worked very well of late.